What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk about what's going on with Tesla stock and what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about what Cathie Wood just did involving Tesla, as she has sold between 18 and $19 million worth of shares. I'm going to break down what this means for Tesla moving forward, what Elon Musk just said, and what the technicals are suggesting for Tesla and a couple of other tickers. But before I break anything down about what happened to Tesla for today, what Cathie Wood just said, and what's going on with it, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just about 4 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Tesla was down 1.1% for the day, getting a drop in the morning just like SPY. SPY also came down in the morning, so did the QQQ. The whole market did, just to start us off for the first like 20 or so minutes, because we had some negative news. The PPI report that came out for today was a little bit hotter than expected, and that's not what the market wants. So PPI is another inflationary measure that tends to be a leading indicator for CPI, and this is suggesting that there could be an increase in inflation for consumers over the next couple of weeks, the next few months. This is a possibility and it's worth noting. So that's why the market ended up initially dropping, but it wasn't just a drop that would just perpetuate for the day. It also depended on other data, the price action, etc. So what was the other data? We also had the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports at 10 o'clock a.m. This was better than expected, as the 5-year inflationary expectations were lower than what the forecast was. People are expecting improvements in overall sentiment, inflation to start going down even more, which is a good sign, and that's why the market ended up bouncing. Could this be because of manipulation as well? Yes, they could have done this to just trick as many investors as possible in the morning. And then after that, the market got very tight, got one little break to the upside, very small one, before continuing to trade sideways. We're down 0.06% on SPY, very flat. Tesla's down 1.1%, a little bit weaker than usual. That's because of some negative news. But besides that, it's still trying to hold up above these levels. It is good that Tesla closed above 240 and didn't actually tank below that. It got bought right back up once it broke below it, which is a decent sign. But I will talk more about the technicals in just a couple of minutes. Just as a reminder for everyone, I just want to remind you all that we have some data coming out for next week. We have the consumer inflationary expectations for Monday, some Fed speakers, imports and exports data for Tuesday, alongside crude oil data. And then for Wednesday, we have the notorious FOMC minutes coming out. That's going to cause more volatility for the markets. So be ready for all of this between Monday and Wednesday. For earnings, we have a couple of others. We have the Home Depot. We also have Target. We have Cisco. We also have Walmart, Dole, and the list goes on. So lots of interesting retail ones like Ross are going to be coming out. So it's going to be interesting for next week, but nothing too significant, nothing too huge for the whole market. I do know that retail is going to be telling about how consumer spending is looking, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Now, as far as Tesla goes, Elon Musk did say some things about AGI, and if you don't know what that is, AGI basically stands for artificial general intelligence. He mentioned that Teslas have the cars, that is, they have a mind of their own, and they figured out some aspects of AGI, but they're not fully there yet. The cars are not fully overall artificial intelligence is not fully developed for them. But they are improving. AGI has been figured out, at least to some degree, according to Elon Musk, and I could actually agree with that. Looking at how the cars are able to drive on roads, stop when they need to stop by identifying particular things that could jump in the way of it, such as like a dog or like another car or like even a human. The cars are able to brake on their own, identify which way to go, look around, and use camera vision to their advantage. They're improving with their learning technology with the supercomputers. But the thing about all these Teslas would be that they're not fully there yet. And many investors, even coming out today in these articles, are criticizing Elon Musk for not always giving us accurate dates. And that is something true about Elon Musk. The dates are not always accurate from him. But the bottom line is, I mean, I don't really want to just attack him for that. I want to give him credit for at least being very engaged in the products, putting in lots of work, trying to improve them, and keeping investors excited. I know that's what Elon Musk loves to do. Now, what else is good about this would be, as time progresses, Tesla eventually meets a lot of their promises, such as the Cybertruck, eventually the Roadster 2, and new models should be coming out soon. So there will be improvements being made to the company, but for the time being, with the negative news involving Zach that came out, him stepping down and things like that, we have seen Tesla sold off quite a bit. And even Cathie Wood has sold off a large chunk of the Tesla holding from ARK or ARK. That is some important news, but it's not that crazy because it's only 18 to 19 million. It's somewhere between there. Some sources are like estimating it up or down, but it's basically in that range. That's only about 72,000 Tesla shares, 72,631 to be precise. Is this a huge piece of news? I wouldn't necessarily consider this that massive because it's a relatively modest position. It's not like 100,000 shares or more, 200,000 shares. It's not like $50 million worth of shares or more than that. It's only about 72,000 worth. So that is, it is important, but it's not like insanely significant to cause Tesla to move very hard because of it. Now, why is Cathie Wood doing this? Is it because she doesn't like Tesla? The answer is not necessarily, because she's still holding a ton of Tesla shares, right? ARK still has a large, a massive Tesla holding. But here's the thing about Cathie. She oftentimes does this for repositioning, looking at different positions out there, looking at different sectors which could be rotating right now, and then looking at the fact that energy is starting to go up right now. There could be different sectors that look more enticing to her. There could also be other reasons, such as trying to hold cash during times of uncertainty. She could be, she could even be a little bit more bearish on Tesla. That's a possibility too. But just because she says that doesn't mean that she's always going to be correct about it. Things could change in a flash for the company if you get good news or not. But she's not really giving up on Tesla as a whole. She just trimmed her position by a small amount because she wants to reposition. And that's all she's really doing. She also trimmed a large position of her Roku shares and her NVIDIA shares and things like that. So those are worth noting, but nothing too crazy overall. And she trimmed lots of different positions at the same time, so it's not like that big of a deal. She's not just only going after Tesla. To add on to this, looking at some more data, we can see if you look at Tesla's short interest, this did go up a little bit. We saw about 31.9 million Tesla shares being shorted as of yesterday. And we did see a slight increase. That's part of why Tesla was underperforming. To add on to this, I just want to mention that looking at some more data, we continue to see Tesla hold up despite how the market was performing. We saw Tesla hold above 240, which is a pretty good sign. And looking at the current technicals, I will break down something else that's important about it. Volume is not that bad for Tesla. That's the good thing about it. The price price ratio dropped a little bit, so it lost some strength, but it's trying to hold above 240. It held up quite decently. And then looking at the short volume, this is once again going up just a little bit. We did see a little bit more shorting as of yesterday. The data is yet to update, and we'll see how this looks moving forward. But Tesla held on its own. It tried to hold above 240. It did drop below it temporarily, but managed to get bought up above it. Closing above it was a good sign. Now, as far as technicals go, overall, the trend is more bearish as we are making lower lows and lower highs still. But if we want to bounce, you could argue that there's a bullish divergence right here. I will talk more about this bullish divergence in my video for tomorrow. There is one developing on Tesla, also on SPY in the QQQ. So there's a chance of this thing making an attempt to bounce. But what we first have to do is look at the 4-hour time frame and get above our 20 EMA. That's the resistance to look at right now. The last 7 days, we've been getting rejected off the 20. If Tesla could break above 246 and hold it, that could be a signal that Tesla's getting ready for a reversal, at least trying to get closer to the 200 EMA around this like 252 to 253 area. There is a signal of that potentially happening, but we first have to try to get above 246. So we're going to be watching to see if that ends up being the case, and we're going to be watching this resistance. Now, for SPY, the same thing is developing. There's a bullish divergence on it. That's a good sign for it. We could see SPY try to make its way up to about 447 or so if it manages to break out. We'll have to wait and see on that. And same thing with the triple Q. There's a bullish divergence as well. Now, I'm going to talk in a lot more detail about these technicals because I have something big to say about them tomorrow. But for now, I just want to let you guys know that Tesla's basing at 240. It's going to make an attempt to hold. I'm going to be watching for an attempt to try to get back above 246 for now. If it could do so, there is potential for this thing to balance, but we have to wait and see for confirmation. Tesla's a stock that's very volatile. And in this market, there's a lot of trickery. There's a lot of confusion that happens because of the way the market moves. And it's designed that way. It's designed to try to confuse you, try to make you lose. It's very tricky. It's not easy to trade in a market like this, to be honest with you. Especially over the last couple of days, seeing this crazy volatility, lots of swings and lots of high moves have continued to happen. So the best thing I could always tell you would be when trying to day trade, be patient. Don't FOMO into just one move. And then if the market starts dropping from the very beginning, if there's some kind of news coming out later, Wait for the news to come out, wait for the market to base, give it time, be very patient. Do not let your emotions and FOMO get the best of you. Okay, that's a very important lesson. If you were trading today on SPY or Tesla, it's very easy for people to start shorting on these companies. They could have saw Tesla drop below 240 and start shorting really, really hard. Yeah, you could have done that technically, but you would have wanted to exit as this thing was trying to bounce. Or if you entered and this thing it dropped and it came right back up. If it held above 240, start to show some strength, that was a good time to exit just to secure those profits, just for safety, because this thing ended up turning quite nicely when we had the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Same thing with the SPY right here. The best strategy would have been to wait for it to dip, wait for some time, and then wait for your crossover on the MACD, also on the 30 minutes time frame. If you had just waited instead of just like making a move from the very beginning, waiting would have been the key, because you ultimately could have caught some upside, caught the move to the upside, and improved your position from there. Because the Michigan report ended up leading to this consistent pump, and we ended up seeing lots of shorts closing their positions, at least to some degree, that helped the market pump. And when moves like this happen, guys, you want to have a stop loss, hold on to it tightly. Don't be overconfident and start trading with too much money. One mistake a lot of traders make is they enter a position, and what happens is they win and win and win and win, and they become overconfident in themselves. They think they're such good traders, they're going to keep winning, which is like great. Maybe you are a great trader. But the problem is when you're overconfident, you might accidentally start risking too much money. So you might start risking like 10% of your portfolio, 20% of it if you have a small account, 30%, 40%, some crazy high stake. And then what if one day you're wrong? You could just blow up the portfolio pretty easily. That's a very important lesson to learn. Do not be overconfident. Do not chase for insane money. What you want to do is just look at the chart, see what it's telling you, and then use that opportunity to just get in and also secure profits when applicable, because this is a tricky market. It's not good to hold for way too long. I like to be very careful with that. And that's just my lesson for everyone. The market is very tricky. It's very important to watch your technical indicators carefully and to be patient in a market like this, because it is a tricky market and it is designed, once again, to get the best of you and me. For Tesla, we're going to be watching 240 as critical support, just like yesterday. I will talk more about this. Could this be forming like an inverse head and shoulder? There's a possibility of that too. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on Monday. I will talk more about some technicals. I actually have a really good video coming out tomorrow, because I'm going to compare Tesla with SPY and Tesla with the QQQ. I may release separate videos for each of them, because I know that there's a lot to discuss, and I know some people prioritize like SPY over the QQQ. So I'm going to talk more about the technicals tomorrow in a lot more detail, but just know that there are some bullish signals in the process of developing. Technically, Tesla held 240, which is a good sign, and we'll have to see if this thing can try to hold above 246. If it manages to do so, if it breaks above its 4-hour 20 EMA, there could be some signs of strength, and we'll have to wait and see if the trend lines break. I will talk more about this tomorrow, guys, because there is something I want to say, but it requires a lot more time, and I just don't want to make this video too long for a Friday night. So please have a great day. Get ready for tomorrow. I'm going to release either one or two videos about Tesla's technicals, because there's so much to talk about that's very interesting when comparing it to SPY and the QQQ. And I will break these down in more details tomorrow. So please take care, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla and the market to the moon, because the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.